Hello.
Hello,
To start off with, would you like to say your name and where you are?
I am Vitalija Lepeskiene and I am in Vilnius, my hometown,
Mm-hmm.
my home office. This is the town I was born in and I have never ever lived elsewhere.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the first question is, who are you? Who are you as a person, as a human being? Maybe a bit about yourself, your interests, your values, anything you'd like to share.
Well, for the start, I'm kind of tempted to say something less personal.
Mm-hmm.
I am a clinical psychologist, graduated from Vilnius University years and years ago, and a Gestalt therapist and a trainer. I am a mother of two and a grandmother of three. So this is joy of life, married for more than 40 years.
Well,
Yeah, what else?
true. I always say that, people with Gestalt grandparents are very lucky.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they are. The grandparents are happy to have grandchildren regardless of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a joy and light of life. Dessert of
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So would you say that you have any particular passions in life or really deep interests?
passion is a nice word, a good word for me. I think I'm a passionate person in
Mm-hmm.
general. I mean, when I do something, I am in passion. I immerse in whatever
Mm-hmm.
I do. And regarding the content, I am passionate about literature.
Hmm.
I read a lot, and I think this is a huge source of learning for me. Literature is a huge source for learning for me. And I don't make a big difference between reading like professional literature and fiction.
Hmm.
I can learn from both.
Okay.
This is like, yeah, about passion. I
Mm-hmm.
like nature, being in nature. I like classical music, opera.
Hmm. Do you sing? Do you play?
No, I'm a consumer.
Okay. And what about values? Would you say that there's a particularly strong value that you hold in your life?
I would say I hold particular values.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, national identity is very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to be a Lithuanian for me.
Okay.
And it has to do with being oppressed for many years. I mean, I was born in Soviet Union,
Mm-hmm.
and my country had been occupied by Soviet Union until I was 30 something, until my
Mm.
mid 30s. So this process of liberation, or this moment of liberation, is huge. It was a turning point in life for me as well as for many people in my country.
Mm-hmm.
So freedom is a value, is a great value,
Mm-hmm.
and it is connected with being with national identity for me.
Mm-hmm. And what does it mean for you to be Lithuanian? What
It
does that?
means to hold history.
Mm-hmm.
It means to hold culture, like national songs, national fairy tales, traditions, like finding place in myself for these things.
Hmm. And now I want to learn more because I really know nothing about Lithuanian culture. So, interesting. Okay. And would you say that there's a particular event or a set of circumstances in your life that has shaped in some significant way who you are or how you are?
Well, well, for me, event and shaping, it's like in order to shape an event has to be very, very strong or very, very like special. So I don't think I had events like that in my life,
Mm-hmm.
like events. But the field I was growing in, the circumstances, the environment, of course, it did shape me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was family, my nuclear family. And I would say especially my father's family, my grandparents, paternal grandparents and their family. They had a big family. They were farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And we were 11 grandchildren there.
Oh.
And we spent normally like 1 month as teenagers, as children and teenagers at our grandparents. And for me, it was like, you know, being in a farm. I grew up in a city, and being in a farm, everything was so natural. They were so in contact with nature, and kind of situation dictated what they were to do. As we
Mm-hmm.
say in Gestalt therapy, you know, the situation leads your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Or, as Pearls would say, let the situation rule
Mm-hmm.
or lead. So was my grandparents' life, and it was good to be there. A lot of people, like siblings, uncles, aunts, not cousins.
Hmm. It's interesting. I'm an only child from the city,
Well,
so I had very different experiences, but I understand what you're saying. That sounds lovely.
for me, it was
And
contrast as well from city and farm.
mhm, mhm. So would you say that there's a particular person in your history, either in your personal or your professional life, who has had a big influence on you?
Parents, grandparents, especially my grandfather, paternal grandfather,
Hmm.
he had a huge heart, and you know, all of us, my cousins and myself, we each of us felt I was the most loved grandchild of him.
Hmm.
So he kind of was good at giving love.
Hmm.
And professional life, yes, I would say there were two persons. One of them, the name you might know, it was Janet Rainwater.
Okay.
She was a Gestalt therapist, and she was she studied with pearls.
Hmm.
And the other one was Norwegian, who was my first trainer. His name is Nils Magnar Grenstad.
Hmm.
And again, I'm coming back to the moment of independence, of the moment when Lithuania got independence. Nils Grenstad, he provided the training program for people in Lithuania coming here for free. We were poor then, we couldn't pay him. We even couldn't pay his travel expenses.
Hmm.
So he did it for free, just his gift to young country.
Wow.
What I'm saying, oh,
Hmm. And I imagine that that gift has touched a lot of people.
he did. And for me, it is what shaped my life, my professional life as well as personal.
Hmm.
It
Would you
was
like?
opening to the like bigger world.
Mm. Yes. Would you like to say a bit more about that process, about how you came into Gestalt and in that time?
Excuse
Mhm.
me. How came into Gestalt?
How that was for you?
Yeah, I have a story. Um, it was love at first sight, so to say.
Mm.
Um, as I said, I grew up in the Soviet Union, and I worked after finishing with the university, after graduating, I worked in the psychiatric clinic. And some of the colleagues got the book by Pearl's Gestalt Therapy verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
And I started reading the books. We made a xerocopy. I started reading the book, and it was like, this is it. And I can't say in particular what was it, but it was like, yes. If I try to think, and the Gestalt people try to get from the clients, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
So the notion of awareness, I think, it was like, yes, this is what really matters, being aware and being aware. And at that time, there was no way to neither to train, not to get trained, nor to read more. So I was reading and rereading that book. And with my colleague, we even tried some like exercises, working with the clients, with the patients in groups.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very amateur, but came from heart, more from heart than from
Mm-hmm.
any knowledge.
Mm.
And then in the early 80s, when the Iron Curtain was kind of lifted up, people from the other countries could come to Lithuania as well as to other post-Soviet countries. And I was looking for Gestalt people all around, and that was the moment I met Janet Rainwater.
Mm.
And we became colleagues and friends, and she would send me books. I visited her in California. She was coming here to Lithuania to do some training. And then next step was Niels Grenstad.
Mm. Mm. Okay. What was Gestalt ever actually censored under the Soviet Union, or was it
It
just
didn't exist. It simply didn't exist. There was nothing
okay?
to censor.
Okay. Because I'm imagining Paul Goodman's writing and things
Oh,
like that. Yeah.
at university, we knew that Freud was wrong. We didn't know
Okay.
what he said, but we knew that he was wrong.
Okay.
I'm a bit, exaggerating, but basically it was like this.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay.
And it was difficult to get any literature, any
Mm-hmm.
books.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm remembering some interviews I once did in my undergraduate with people in Poland. They were part of an underground community of authors and intellectuals. And did you get involved in any kind of political activity, or were you living your professional life and being?
Not until early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Then the national movement started developing, and then like everyone was involved.
Mm.
It was very, very, the energy was very strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I don't usually ask people about politics, but it's kind of about social movement and personal identity as well.
For me, and it was personal.
Mm-hmm.
Like political and personal, there was not like a division or
Mm-hmm.
like a firm boundary,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a feeling of liberation and joining the world, so to say, becoming part of the world instead of being a cell somehow encapsulated under the Iron Curtain.
And do you think that has something to do with the appeal of Gestalt? I mean, the idea of being authentic and becoming and having a voice against the field or different from the field?
You know, at that time we kind of lived double life. And we had the saying like kitchen life.
Okay.
Like kitchen, it's like people gather, close friends gather in someone's kitchen, and then we are what we are. And then when we are in public, we are what we are supposed to be. And it was not a matter of choice in a way, but it was good learning, because it was not safe to say whatever you want to say when you are in public.
Okay. So once you do get into Gestalt and you meet these ideas and these people, what did you do with it? What have you done with Gestalt in your life, in your practice? What is your particular interest?
I became a therapist and I started my private practice. And I felt alone. I felt like I was alone because I was the first one in the country who started. And 8 years ago, a colleague and me, we started an institute, which is called Dialogue, Gestalt Psychotherapy Institute Dialogue. And for me, it was, before we started, we had this saying or concept for myself, professional loneliness. When we started the institute, I felt connected. I felt connected with my business partner, so to say, and also we were building community of the students. And you were asking about values, and I think that sharing for me is an important value. And I think that becoming a trainer is about sharing, and it opens the door to implementing this value, to living that value of sharing.
And do you feel like you're part of a Gestalt community beyond your institutional community that you're creating?
I do. I feel strong relation to Gatla. I've been coming for 14 years, I think, in a row, and became part of the faculty. So yes, it is. I feel strong. It is a community, and I feel strongly connected. I got very close friends whom I see on Skype, like on a weekly basis, from all over.
And you smile when you say that. What has it meant for you to feel like you're part of that community?
It's like heart is expanding. It's really, it's joy. And it's joy, and it is what I really like about it, like knowing that I have like home, like spiritual home, coming to the place, regardless the place, but coming to the place where people share the values, where people are interested in the other people, and when people are interested in being heard and in listening to each other. It is not like, it's not part of everyday life.
Yeah. Unfortunately, for most people, it's not.
Yeah, it isn't.
So how would you say that Gestalt has affected you as a person?
Well, it might be a long story. I probably would mention like something. I think it liberated me in some ways.
Hmm.
For example, learning about paradoxical theory of change. It was like, okay, then I can relax. I can relax. I just can let it be. And especially, I was an associated professor at the university for 16 years.
Mhm.
And when the students were like, not very motivated or something, I was like, I have to do something. I have to do something to get them motivated and so on. Let them be. That was what I learned from Gestalt psychotherapy and from paradoxical theory of change in particular. And it's also in the same way it affected my personal life.
Mhm.
I grew up as a industrious girl. I know how to roll up the sleeves
Ah.
and get to work.
Mhm.
So knowing that, not knowing, but kind of accepting that not everything depends on me, and I'm
Mhm.
not responsible for this and that, helped to somehow to feel boundaries, like boundaries in my own responsibility. I'm
Mhm.
responsible for this, but I'm not responsible.
Mhm.
And I think
Interesting.
that mm, brought some humbleness,
Hmm.
which I like.
Hmm. Hmm. That sounds like a nice process.
Mhm.
I'm also curious, and some people don't want to talk about this part much, but how you experience yourself as a woman or in your gender, and whether Gestalt has brought you any sort of awareness or understanding of yourself that way.
Mm. That's new. I mean, the question is new. Hmm. I don't know what could I answer because I somehow probably I did not confront some difference
Mm-hmm.
enough to know how I am different from male therapists.
Mm-hmm.
As probably in many countries in Lithuania, uh, women prevail in all kinds of psychotherapy. But for
Mm-hmm.
example, now institute we have from 20 to 30% students male students.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't become my figure, so to say, being a woman
Yeah.
in a community.
No, and that's fine. I mean, for some people, it just really isn't. And for some people, that's a huge part of their identity or their life that they're very aware of.
Mm.
So I ask, and
Yeah.
whatever answer is fine. So another question is, what kind of challenges you feel like you have gone through, either as a person or within Gestalt over the years?
I don't know whether it is a challenge or whether it was a challenge, but I experienced a burnout.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for 12 years in the psychiatric clinic, and I really liked what I was doing. But after those years, I started feeling that I'm not growing anymore. And there was no, as if I reached the ceiling,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no more space for growth.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still, still like almost Soviet Union and first years of independence. So there was no other. place for a psychologist to work. It
Right.
was
No.
either
It's a
this
private practice.
or the other clinic,
Mm-hmm.
and private practice was not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
So for a year or so or more, I was really upset, sad, discontent, and then I started training in Gestalt psychotherapy, and that was an opening.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not being humble at this moment, but I must say that I organized that very first training. I met Niels Grenstad, like, and I invited him. We became friends, and we did training.
Mm-hmm. And
It was healing as well as, like breakthrough in professional life, but it was also healing in personal life.
mm-hmm. Yes. I'm just, yeah, just sitting with the word burnout. That sounds like a very painful experience.
It was. Mhm.
And in that time, I can imagine a lot of suffering in people as well. Hmm. Okay.
What I remember from that time, and when I started training in Gestalt psychotherapy, I was kind of not like obsessed, but I was interested in people's body reactions. And I remember being in a bus in a private in public transportation,
Mm-hmm.
and hearing sighs and feeling
Mm-hmm.
people were sighing so much. And I was thinking, yes, we all are going through dark times now,
Mm-hmm.
like this.
Wow. And maybe on the other side of the challenges is the question of what some of your greatest moments were, or a particular moment that you have felt very fulfilled or full.
Mm. Beginning of that training was a high moment. Beginning of our own institute was a high moment. It, we just opened the door and people came.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't sweat, we didn't work too hard in a way to
Mm-hmm.
get people coming. We worked, of course, but it was like people were willing to come. And meeting with the Gatla community and becoming part of the community also was high. No, I am not a person who has very like up deep downs and very high peaks, but
Mm-hmm.
those were my peaks.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder, do you have a particular favorite memory? I mean, this sounds horrible because it's like choosing a favorite grandchild. But does something come to mind, like as it could be a moment with a client or a moment in your own training or processes that is a story that you particularly love?
Nothing comes to my mind as a story, but in particular meetings with people, moments which we call Adao moments. I
Mm-hmm.
have those. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they were like joyful meetings, and sometimes they were like sad meetings. The sadness, but those were the meetings.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you'd like to share, or if not, that's fine. Not everyone wants to be a storyteller.
I'm a bit embarrassed about telling the story in English. I'm doubting my English today now. But the story I may share, it was with a client she probably had the compulsive personality disorder. She wanted everything to be perfect just everywhere. And she had like some symbols, if I have not like symbols, but metaphors. If there is a vase I have to put on a shelf, it has to be this way, but not the other way.
Mm-hmm.
And once she was saying that she needed a toilet paper to buy toilet paper for a family, and she was a wealthy woman,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, I went to this shop and this and that, and I was thinking which was the best. So she said I was like wasting my time on something, and I thought that this toilet paper in that situation is like a vase, like an example. And then she looked at me and she said, based on the true story. And I understood that she really, really meant that she was looking for toilet paper in 3 shops. Young, beautiful, rich. And then I got tears in my eyes. And she got tears in her eyes. It was so sad. And also it was a precious moment of meeting. In this sadness and despair of this trap of compulsion.
Mm-hmm. That
I
sounds
don't know whether
very
it
hard.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Is it?
it does. No, it does. I mean, it sounds like she was seeing and you were seeing how absurd it was. And it's interesting you said the paradoxical theory, just letting it be and not trying to change it, but really feeling it with her. Hmm. Hmm. Sorry. So I guess the last question that I would really ask you is what's next? What would you like to be doing? I mean, obviously, we're at a very strange point in the world right now, but what would you like to be doing with Gestalt or as a person in the future? And what do you think the future could be for Gestalt?
uh, in terms of what I would like to be doing, I would like to continue like I am now. I'm content with my professional life now. Maybe I would like to work less, to see less clients.
Mm-hmm.
But I am aware how easy I get into I can't say no when the new client comes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in terms of the future of Gestalt, I am not very optimistic. Um, because lot, the insurance and things like that, and I am sad about it. One more story. Once I was asked to make a presentation on Gestalt therapy for the students of psychodynamic school. They needed to know, different paradigms.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling how we work, what is it, and how we meet with clients. And one of the students then asked, "Are you saying that you never look for the secret meaning behind what the client says?" And I said, "No, we don't." And then she said, "How happy your clients must be."
Mm.
And for me, this is what is precious about Gestalt therapy. We just being phenomenological means trust, among other things.
Mm-hmm.
Trust and also being humble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are so important qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And we have so little of them in the society and in the world. Like people want to know everything, or they pretend they know everything. And unknowing is unappreciated. Unknowing, which is, goes with curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
is underappreciated, unappreciated.
Hmm.
And
That's wonderful.
yeah, individualism also
Mhm.
in the Western world, success,
Mm.
emphasizing success, emphasizing knowing, emphasizing strengths, youth, activity.
Yes, that's all a bit contrasting to being and
Exactly.
letting be. Right.
Exactly.
Hmm.
I wish we as a species would learn to be more and do less.
Hmm. Well, on the positive side, I think that's what a lot of people are taking as a message, from the pandemic and from being stopped. But I don't know how deep the effect will really be. Hmm. Well, hmm.
For
Is there
some,
anything? Sorry, go ahead.
for some people it will, for some it won't.
True, true.
It's
So I'm wondering, is there anything else that you would like to add right now? Is there any question you feel like I should have asked you or anything you'd like to say?
I was wondering who were the other people whom you interviewed, and I think that there are not many people from that part of the world, and I would like to invite people here.
Hmm,
Just come,
please.
just
Yes, please do. Please invite your students or your colleagues, and it would be lovely to meet more people. And also, I mean, you mentioned language, and we're working in 4 languages now,
come.
but hopefully we will include more, and languages that neither Camila or I speak or understand. But the idea is to open the space for people, not to keep them away.
What I really meant was come to Lithuania.
Mhm. Ah, okay.
Visit our country. You said you're curious in history.
I am curious. No, I am curious, and I would like um, to visit. I mean, especially for Gatla's event next
Next
summer.
year. Next year.
Yes, it starts to feel like the first time I might leave my house since March of this year. But yeah, hopefully we will meet one day. That would be lovely.
And I hope too. It was
Mhm.
nice to meet you and talk with you and
Yes,
think
yes,
and stop
wonderful.
for myself with the questions.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, thank you. If it's okay with you, we will leave it here. I really appreciate your time and getting to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.